Hi there, I'm Sharon Lightfoot Pound. I'm a movement educator with a background in yoga and Pilates, and I hope you find this video on calf stretching helpful. We're first going to start off with a little self-massage and perhaps fascial rolling. So if you can, cross that leg over and start massaging the calf, because around all the muscles is what they call fascia, which is the connective tissue that helps everything move and slide and run smoothly in the body. So it's good to kind of give it a little massage. And this is something you can do prior to going on a hike. It's unlike stretching, which can make you lose a certain amount of muscle strength. Fascial release won't do that, so it just helps everything get warmed up, and it's a really nice thing to do. Now, if you're a little bit more enthusiastic, you could get yourself a fascial roll, which I'll show you now on the other side. So when you're massaging, you can go across the muscle, you can go up and down the muscle, and just find nice ways to kind of knead and massage the muscles of the calf from the base of your calf area just above the heel up into underneath the knee there. And then for a roller, this is a really nice thing. It's kind of a nice way to get everything separated out. Some people like the little spiky rollers. I like this little corrugated TheraBand brand one, but you can get them at a sports shop or online. So they are a marvelous thing. And how long do you do rolling for? Well, it depends on how much tension there is. Again, 30 seconds to a minute, a bit like stretching, or a little less if you're already a little rolled out like I have been, because this is the second time I'm trying to make this video. So those are a marvelous thing, and I thoroughly recommend massage or rolling. Then we're going to come through to a standing stretch. So I'll just move this guy out of the way. And I quite like having a chair or a bench in front of me sometimes. But what you want to do is start out by having your feet in parallel, unless you stand naturally with your feet very turned out, in which case just turn them in a little bit to where you can comfortably do it without any knee or back pain. If you're able to go straight forward, then that would be marvelous. And what I often do is I lift the toes and think about spreading the feet and bringing them back down. So I'm spreading across the foot, and I'm trying to feel that I'm being centered in the heel, so neither rolling out nor rolling in. And I'm going to show you the side view for how we might set up the actual calf stretch. So from standing, there's two ways you can get into it. So assuming I want to stretch this calf, I can step back. But as you step back, just take care that you're not turning the foot out. See if you can keep it back in parallel. And the other way to have done this, get into the stretch, would have been the reverse, which would have been to step forward. Make sure that you're not moving that back leg. And you want to step forward to the degree, or lunge to the degree that you start to get a stretch in the calf, running from the back, below the knee, above the ankle. And what I quite like with a chair or a bench is maybe even to lean forward, brings that stretch on a little more. So keeping the feet nicely balanced, leaning into it till you feel a nice stretch in the back of the calf. And this can be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, preferably not less. And this is a static stretch. Again, possibly best done more so after you've been walking than prior. We'll go through some other things you could do prior shortly. So I think that's probably around about 30 seconds. And for this one, I think I'll step forward. And then we're going to go on to the other side. So stepping back. So it's curious, if you can, it's kind of interesting to notice where you are on the lines of your floor to see if you've got the same amount of distance. So that's kind of a good check between the left and the right. Again, make sure that foot's nicely spread and bending as much or as little, leaning forward, or you could lean forward holding on to your hips, keeping your back straight. Have your core a little bit engaged perhaps. That's slightly drawing in from the low abdomen towards the navel as you're holding this bent forward position. And this calf feels a little tighter than the other one. Not surprising. There's always something a little different from left to right generally for most of us. And again, about 30 seconds to a minute, or using the support of something, leaning forward, keeping your spine nice and long. So this is your good, standard, safe stretch for the calf, keeping the foot spread on the floor, rather than we don't recommend for the majority of us to hang off a step. That's a very heavy loaded activity, and this is safer to be flat on the ground, so one leg forward, one leg back. So that's a good stretch. Another one that I like to do is Suzanne Lynch, who I've worked for and co-written the book Move Well. She's a physical therapist and in Seattle, and this is one that we do and teach, which is called the tourist stretch. So for this one, you sit back like you're about to sit back into a chair. So not so much knees forward, knees stacked, hips back, and then you bring one foot forward and you pull the foot back, and this is going to give you a stretch all the way through the back of the leg. But the more you pull that foot back towards you, the more you're going to get into the calf. And I found that really helpful when I did have an Achilles tendonitis problem, and I found that this was much easier on my Achilles. I didn't stretch in there, and it helped get me that good stretch in the back of the calf. So as much sitting back as you can. Now, if you want to make this more of a moving stretch, which would be a good warm-up before going for walking, I quite like this one where you sit back and then you stand onto that front leg, and the back foot heel rises off as though you're about to push off. And then you reverse that. When you sit back, if you wanted to go with the breath, you could breathe out, pull the foot back of the front foot, and then stand up, and as if you're about to push off the back foot to go for a walk. So this is quite a good moving, dynamic way of stretching the back of the leg, the back of the calf, and then at the back leg, you're engaging the calf as you would want to in walking. We'll do that a few more times. Sit back, stand up, and as I say, if you wanted to, you could breathe out and breathe in. So it's a nice moving way just to loosen up the back of the leg and then activate the back of the leg. Let's change around to the other side. So standing tall, feet straight forward if that's available and comfortable for you. Sitting back, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the hands at the top of the thigh and I'm creasing the fold there between the body and the thighs, not in my waist or my upper back. So my back stays straight, I'm just sitting back, I'm shifting the weight to the other leg now, the other foot forward, pulling the foot back, and then again you can hold this, our tourist stretch, or you can make it a little bit tourist about to go for a walk and see all the things around us. It's good to go for a walk no matter where you are. And then you're going to stand up, push off the back foot a little bit, and then rock back. And if you want to connect with the back breath, breathe out and breathe in. A few times like that. The more you pull the foot back, the more you get the stretch, the more you sit back. It's a little bit of stabilization on the sit back leg, a couple more. All right, so now ready to go for a walk, but there's one more that I want to show you. So we're going to have to transition to the floor. So I'll move off this computer and I'll show you. So here we are back again. I've got a little bit of something for the back of the head to lie down on the ground. A little chair away. That's for the back of the head, maybe a little small pillow. And I've also got hubby's belt to use as a strap. So you could use a yoga strap, or I thought I'd show you a make-do affair. So when you come down, try and organise yourself nice and squarely so you're not all at an angle, and lay yourself down. A little bit of support under the back of the head, not under the shoulders. And then we might start with both legs out straight, and then you're going to bring one leg up. And the reason we started like that was to try and maintain a little bit of a curve in the small of the back, keep the ribs down. If the ribs are popping up a long way, maybe you need a little bit more head support. So see if you can soften those ribs down, maintain a little bit of a curve there, long through the spine. And then we're going to take the other leg up and put the strap around the ball of the foot.
And the reason we're doing that is so we've got a little leverage to pull the foot back again to get a little bit of a stretch in the back of the leg. You want to relax the shoulders down away from the ears, and you can hold the strap like this, or you can hold, if it's long enough, you could have your elbows resting on the ground, but I quite like this version. And we could start off again with a little moving version, which is called the grasshopper. Now it's kind of bend and straighten. And this is going to, when we bend, we're going to hopefully get a little bit more into the lower calf. I've also found with people with tight calves, just even doing this stretch, some people only feel it in the calf, and the rest of us might feel it also in the back of the leg. Now if your hamstrings are a little tight, you can have the angle of the leg a little further out. And again, that's that pulling the foot back that's going to get a little bit more into your calf, because that's what we're focusing on today. And of course, when you're doing it, try not to look at the video too much. See if you can learn it and then have your head nice and level. And as I say, you can do a little bit of bend and straighten. And if your leg doesn't want to straighten fully, that's okay. So long as you feel it in the back of the calf, the back of the leg, you're doing a good job. The other leg I've got fairly active, stretching away straight. Now some people, if their hamstrings are really, really tight and it's all the way down here, then if you need to, you could bring up the other foot, but try not to let your back flatten here. See if you can keep your spine long, neutral position, and that should be our 30 or plus seconds, 30 seconds to a minute generally for a stretch. That leg should feel lovely and long now, and then we'll go to the other side. So you bend up the leg. The good thing about the strap is I think it's a little easier to loop the stiffer leather strap than it is a fabric one. So if you have difficulty getting to your leg, then actually a big old leather belt is quite a good thing. So here, the other leg nice and straight, and the top leg a little bend and straighten, that little grasshopper thing where we bend and straighten the leg. See if you can keep the foot so that the big toe side of the foot and the little toe side of the foot are equal, so you're not kind of curling your foot one way or the other, keeping it straight off the end of your leg. Bend and straighten a few times. That's it. Keep that foot pulled back. Find the edge where you get that nice stretch in the back of the calf, but you probably, with this one, you also get two for the price of one. You get the whole back leg. And they're all interconnected, so this is all useful. If you have tight calves, releasing the hamstrings at the same time is a useful thing all that way along the chain. So there, just breathing calmly and easily, relaxing the shoulders as much as you can, finding the good angle, and then when you're ready, you can release. And of course, you don't have to do all three. The idea here is I've given you some options, and you can use them as they seem most accessible and useful to you. So otherwise, I wish you all a happy stretch and healthy calf day.